curious, mystical, turbulent. My name is Amirah Chatman. I'm an artist. My piece is called The Oasis. It's on the first floor common area of the BHRC. I wanted to create a scene that was kind of magical, but not in an overwhelming way, in a way that inspired a sense of like when you walk in. It's more of a destination. I feel like wherever you are in your journey of instability or just general shakiness navigating the world that we're in right now, I wanted the Oasis to give a sense of maybe not end of that journey, but just a resting spot in that journey, a place where you could put down your bags, put down whatever you have, and just feel good. Gentle imagery is what I was going for, something gentle and tender and ultimately beautiful. A few nights ago, I was down there with a friend, and there were people in the community, both inside the center and outside, and I'm standing out there showing my friend, and somebody was like, what are you doing here? This is a behavioral health center. Like, if you have questions, like, you can come in. I was like, oh, I'm the artist of this piece, and I was just showing it to my friend. They were like, you did this? We've been talking about this for hours, and like how beautiful it is, and just how magical everything looks, and how exciting it is. And that just really touched me to know that the community that the center is catering to and is going to help the most is actually engaging with the work in the way that it was intended to be engaged with, and also in ways that I didn't expect. Just for them to be excited about it was really touching. I'm really proud of myself and proud to be a part of such a cool fixture in the community. I really like to sit before I start putting my hands on the canvas and think about like my emotions and how I'm feeling, and choosing a color palette that speaks to those emotions is a really big part of it. Art has been my primary form of therapy since I could pick up a stick of chalk, and I haven't always had the easiest time articulating how I'm feeling. So having this physical outlet that had a visual result and also was just meditative in practice has just been integral to my emotional development. And so being able to sit with my materials, put down some, sporadic strokes. I'll just kind of go at the piece of paper however I'm feeling and then build out of that. That alongside of listening to my favorite music and making sure I'm somewhere comfortable is also a huge part of it. So it's very visceral, it's very physical, it's very intuitive as a practice, and it's very important to me. I go outside and I look up. I've always been fascinated with clouds and space and stars. In Phoenix, Arizona, the sky is just like purple and gray and then like red in the distance because of the sunset. And it was just always this super inspiring display that I grew up with. I was fortunate enough to be in a place that always had something just celestial and magnificent going on right above me. Even now, it's a place of comfort for me to just be able to go outside and see what the weather's like. Portland is great because we have clouds all the time, every day, 24/7, all year round. And there's a lot of variety in the patterns, and that usually gets me thinking about the relationships of those patterns to each other versus the color of the sky versus the time of day. And so the wheels are always turning. When I feel like I'm particularly stumped about what my next move is, I can usually just turn to nature and find something to at least get me thinking about what I'm gonna do next. Very blessed and fortunate to have the friends and family that I do. The Portland art community has been very, very welcoming, and I feel like I've found a home here in so many different ways. I was recently dealing with some housing instability myself, and it's so important to have a place where you feel safe, no matter like what that looks like, whether it's a house, an apartment, a shelter, a room, a driveway. I think it's really integral, really beneficial, and wonderful to be able to have somewhere that's maybe not just yours, but a space that's just conducive to care and love and warmth, and community comes in so many different forms. That's another reason I'm so grateful for being a part of this project and for the BHRC as a community fixture. We have a human rights situation with our houseless population here in Portland, and anything we can all do to help and to nurture and to just be empathetic and care for the people who are a part of our community is extremely important and necessary for everybody to thrive. I'm hopeful to see people utilizing the space, people feeling safe there, people finding community and love there. I hope it causes a ripple effect for the rest of the city, and I hope that we get more spaces like this. I hope that the systems and spaces that we already have in place continue to house and shelter and love our community. And then for my own personal practice, it's always changing, it's always growing and shifting. I just hope to keep creating art as long as I can.
Keep pushing forward. My name is Damon Smyth, and above all else, I'm an artist. My biggest association would have to be my incarceration as a youth. When I was 16, I was incarcerated for 3 years. That gives me a lot of understanding behind these facilities and what their purpose is, and being able to really stand behind what their goal is. During my time incarcerated, I was in all sorts of different facilities, and they weren't like how the BHRC is going to be. So that's why I'm excited, is because this is a chance for people to feel welcome and to feel like they have a place where they can actually rehabilitate themselves and grow. Because when I was incarcerated, that wasn't the case. The facilities are very cold, very quiet. White walls didn't feel like a good place to learn or to change yourself. So my association would have to be with my understanding of people going through a hard time, and how this facility is trying to help that. Goes along with my fight as well. I try to fight for those things for people and be a voice for them, and it sounds like, and what we're seeing is the BHRC is doing that as well. I've never worked on a project this size before, on this scale, so the logistics of getting like the lift and coordinating how to do the piece on the wall in a timely manner, that was probably the biggest obstacle, was making sure I could get everything that I wanted done within the time frame that we had to open up. So I think, yeah, the biggest challenge was painting a wall that massive. I had always done smaller scale stuff. I've done, decent sized walls, but this was definitely the entire side of a building, which is totally new to me. That was a hurdle in itself, just being able to get the paint on the wall in the order and figure out a game plan for how to approach that. And obviously the things like the weather, and it's cold or it's wet and it's raining, and just powering through and painting through that so we can have a beautiful facility for everyone. I find myself going through my past work and kind of looking back at the old me and thinking about what I was inspired by and what I actually did well and what I didn't do well, and how I want to push that further. So I find myself looking through my past work to inspire myself, to show myself where I've come from, the progress I've made, and all the things that I stand for is within my work. So before I look at anyone else's work or anything else, or start painting anything, I usually go through my past work and just say, okay, this is what I'm doing all right, don't lose this, keep track of this. I want to stay true to myself. So I feel like if I look at my work and study myself before looking at anyone else's stuff or before stretching, it just gets me in the mindset to create, and it keeps me inspired and shows me why I'm still doing this. So my ritual is just to make sure I kind of check myself and say, okay, this is what you've done. This is what you need to do better. It's almost like a picture of you when you were a kid. You know, it's almost like saying, how did you grow up in your life? It grows with me. As you grow and develop new things and figure out new things about yourself, your art will start to change with you. As I decided to go into bigger murals and grow and, you know, leave my day job and try to pursue art full time and take care of the family and all these things, I saw my work reflecting my life in that way. You can see the grit in some of it. You can see the energy, you can see that I'm tired sometimes, and you can see all these things through the art, and I feel like they're almost period points with my life. They're checkpoints of where I was, and so as I continue to progress, my art continues to progress. They go hand in hand, and we kind of grow together. I'm doing graphic novels, historical graphic novels, to the Black Lives Matter protests going on and how that changed everything. That's when I kind of had to take a step out. I felt so inspired by those things that I had to put something out there. I couldn't just sit around. I remember watching it on the news and seeing Portland boarded up, and we were so divided, and it was really ugly out there that I just really had to lend the art for something that would give people something better to look at. And that became like an addiction because the city gravitated towards it at the same time. It was a weird thing that happened where I was in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly what people needed. And there became this like explosion after that, because ever since then it's just been nonstop and growing. I couldn't imagine doing this mural, our recent project 2 years ago when it was happening. I would not have ever thought that was possible. As I continue to grow my ideas and have more courage and more confidence in myself, the art reflects that, and it keeps growing with me. It's groundbreaking. It's so impressive and so amazing to see such a peer-led people that come from the background that I come from, or all sorts of backgrounds, coming together to make something for the community in that way is incredible. And I think it is the first step in something that's going to be really unique and really powerful, not only in Portland and Oregon, but across the U.S. People are going to see this, you know, and this is a good step forward in the right direction to help people. So yeah, I think that's incredible. I think it's awesome to see a facility where people can go get the help they need, whether it's stopping in to get out of the cold, staying there for a month to get their, you know, back on their feet, whatever it may be, take a shower. I think that's human fundamentals that isn't always highlighted, and now it's a chance that we can look at that and be an example to each other to do the right things and move forward and be better and have a place where that stands forward. So yeah, to have my art on a place like that, you know, is I can't put into words. It's my kids will be able to see it, and that's what's amazing to me. I just want to be able to leave my mark, create art for the community, for people that need it, be able to talk for people that can't always talk. I guess that's one thing that I'd like people to know is I stand up for other people if I can. I'm here to be your artist if you need it. If there's a fight going on and we can't come to a conclusion, I'll be there to put out a positive message that will help us hopefully continue to grow together and not divide us. I don't believe in bullying. I don't like people being treated any other way than how they would like to be treated. So my art will always reflect that, and I'll always continue to fight for that. Just trying to create a positive impact and kind of show people what is possible, because sometimes we get caught up in our own heads about what's possible. So I want to be the example for people just to do what they love, be passionate about something, because I swear it makes life so much better. Even the hard days are that much better when I can go back to my art table and I can draw for a few minutes. And I know that doesn't have to be art, it can be anything. But if you're passionate about it, I feel like that's where your heart's at, and that's what you need to make sure to involve in your life, because then all other aspects will get better in your life. Having art has made such an impact on my relationships, because I know who I am. I know what I stand for, and I know what I'm passionate about. And as long as I'm following that, everything else becomes easier. Even the hardest things that come up can be manageable when you're at least happy with yourself, because then you can spread that to other people. So I guess that's another thing I want to make sure people will know, is to keep being passionate and keep trying to push the boundaries for yourself. And if whatever you can or want to do, just go for it. I don't have a backup plan, and and I'm still trying to figure that out. Not everything is all set for me now. I'm still looking for more opportunities as they come, but I'm still able to be happy with myself and have that peace, that inner peace. I'm like, okay, at least I'm on the right track. That's what I think everyone should try or strive towards, is just being happy with themselves. Those things are what keep us alive and keep us having fun and keep us us. And that's what's important, is staying true to yourself. Then I think that we can change the world. I brought my paints, we can do so. I got some stuff.
Vulnerability, growth, evolving. My name is Salomée Souag. I am a muralist and artist. The past just 2 years, all the projects I've taken are ones that feel very close to my heart and very close to my life. I can't take on projects that don't support the same vision and mission that I have. Most opportunities provided by RACC are these really amazing, innovative, new, beautiful projects that, if they have a voice like our voices, it's gonna make it whole. Like, that's the missing piece. I feel like we're a big part of that missing piece that's needed. Just the combination of those is extremely powerful and unstoppable. It's the root of having somebody like me and a voice like mine in a space like that is so empowering, not just for myself, but for people who look like me, for people who have a story similar to mine that can feel heard, represented, or feel like they're worthy of a voice, or worthy to get better, worthy to heal. Because I think we go through our lives thinking we don't deserve happiness, or we don't deserve to heal. It's not something that's put on us, and that's generational trauma. It weighs heavy on our shoulders. And all the work I'm doing right now is undoing that and shedding shame, shedding guilt, and finding openness. It just felt so right at the moment in my life. I think it healed me too, to be there and be surrounded by these colors that I picked specifically to be trauma informed. So we're looking at greens and blues and colors that feel good to the soul and feel fulfilling and calming, hopefully, if I can have that impact on other people who deserve that as well. That's just kind of an extension of what I want to do with the world. It was a good interwoven collaboration between RACC and then artists like myself who want to do good in the world. I work on being very kind to myself and taking the time and space I need to do something the best way I could possibly do it. I care a lot about craftsmanship and the way something is shown, especially looking at street art. I feel like it gets a bad rep for a lot of reasons. So I want to kind of challenge that and fight against that. And you can see it through my work. Like, I don't think you see a lot of mural work that's like so clean and like linear and detailed. Just making sure I'm able to go into it in a good headspace. And that comes with like days where I don't go, where I'm not able to do it because I'm a human being and I'm going through things as well. So taking the time, I go to my studio every morning, get my head straight. I make sure that I have all the supplies and tools I need so that I'm not gonna have to make multiple runs. And then I try to really remember to eat because I would forget to eat for like hours on the past murals I've done, and cared for myself so that the work could be, you know, the best version of me in itself. As soon as I started therapy a 1.5 years ago, it completely changed my life and who I was maybe going to be or who I've been, which is a very angry, judgmental person with no self-compassion or no patience. Just a lot of built up anger from a life of trauma. So I finally learned, you know, that those things need to be released and those things need to be approached, as scary as it is. So I've done a lot of EMDR work of going into those things that have happened to me and understanding that those things were not my fault, understanding that these are not what I am. They are just a small part of who I am as a whole. And the biggest thing was understanding that I am not damaged and like really believing that narrative that I'm not damaged. And the self-compassion is so important. because I've never had that for myself, and I wasn't able to have that for others. And I try to use self-compassion more than empathy now, because empathy is feeling other people's feelings and emotions and taking them on yourself. And I realize I've been doing that my whole life, and it's just too much. I can't take on other people's things. I'm just learning about so much. Like, I'm learning about boundaries. I've never had boundaries my entire life. And it's beautiful to just like be able to take space. I didn't know I could. I didn't know this was something I could do with the people around me. So every day I'm evolving and I'm changing. And something I learned from a friend that I was talking to today was that the EMDR work and the therapy work is a lot of like releasing that stuff, right? And you're kind of emptying those things that have happened to me out. And then that's scary because it's almost like we are defined by our trauma. Like, no wonder we don't want to let go of it, because it's also a huge part of us. And we become defined by it. So who are we without this? But again, we're able to completely rewrite our narrative. And with that, once we unclog that, once we release it, there's this hole, right? And that's the scariest part. But now we get to choose what we want to fill it with. Now we get to choose who we want to be and what kind of person we want to be that's not defined by the society we were raised in, the system we were raised in, the way our parents raised us, the way the school raised us, all those things. We get to parent ourselves the way we want it to be parented, and that's like the most freeing thing I've learned. So, and that was just today. Like, I just learned that today. Like, every day, there's so many beautiful conversations around vulnerability and openness and identity. And now I'm transitioning into more canvas work in my studio because I finally have a studio space. So I'm able to open up about what's happened to me and turn the bad and the ugly into something really beautiful. I think that's something I've been trying to do my whole life. Like, I don't think there's going back when you like open that door and go into that work. And as hard as it's been, I wouldn't want it any other way, because the other way was just living in denial. But also I understand how hard it is to do that. I think it's a lot to hold. I think I really had to be in a place where I was ready. There's no way little Salomée or young Salomée would have known how to handle that. I didn't have the right toolkit. Now I have an amazing toolkit, and I'm able to handle those situations. Getting that specific project at that time feels so fulfilling, and it felt so right. And I was so thankful that I was able to be selected for that extension of it. And I can only hope that it gives people a sense of peace, a sense of home, a sense of security. I put a lot of love in it. I put a lot of love and heart from the beginning to the end, like from the sketching, the brainstorming, and what is this going to feel like? What are going to be the conversations? And I want elements of surprise. I want elements that you see when you get closer, when you're really paying attention to it. Being able to see enough to see a story. I had lots of fun not using very bright pinks and reds, which I've been doing in all my past work, and it felt so great to not have those very like triggering colors that I was using a lot. It felt really nice to just be there like in the sun working on it, and knowing that I'm working on something so special inside and out. I'm just so thankful that there's opportunities like that in Portland, and that RACC is here supporting so many artists and so many individuals like me to have a voice, and then have a voice be used for good, and just be given like trust on very large scale projects. I think we second guess ourselves and we question ourselves, but there's so much support on both sides of the Behavioral Health Resource Center and RACC on being like, no, we want you, the artist, to work with us. You're not just working for us. I think I was born to question things, and I was born to push those boundaries, and my whole life I've been told to be silent, and my whole life I've been told to sit back down and be censored and be told that is too much. So to finally have space to do those things and be celebrated and be listened to, and then not only that, but be supported in my career. It's not just like, here's the mural, right? Like, here's your pay, bye. It's like, here's the continuous projects we have that you can be part of and that we invite you to be part of. A big community of people wanting to support each other. Don't forget to put my cats in there. They're gonna be mad.